It was the coldest morning of the year in New York City, wind biting through coats, snow sloshing under hurried boots, and steam rising from sidewalk grates like whispers from the ground. Jonathan Price stood outside Grand Central Station, shivering in his worn brown jacket, eyes scanning the street for a yellow cab. His job interview started in 25 minutes, and he couldn't afford to be late. This was his 5th interview in 2 weeks, and the last one he could attend before rent was due. As a former mechanical engineer laid off during company downsizing, Jonathan had been surviving on odd jobs, sleeping in a shared flat he could barely afford. He was down to his last $30. If today didn't go well, he wasn't sure what would happen next. Then he saw it, a cab, empty and pulling up right in front of him. He stepped forward eagerly, ready to reach for the door handle, when he heard it, the sharp cry of a baby, followed by a woman's desperate voice behind him. "Wait, please." Jonathan turned. She looked barely 30, wrapped in a thin coat, her face pale and strained, a tiny bundled infant clutched to her chest. Her eyes locked with his, full of urgency, fear, and exhaustion. "I'm sorry, I need that cab. My baby's running a fever. I need to get to the hospital." Jonathan's heart twisted. The snow was falling faster now, and he saw her hands shaking as she tried to calm the crying infant. For a moment, he hesitated, he was late already. This job could change everything. But then he glanced at the baby again, red-faced, screaming, eyes glassy. There wasn't a choice. He stepped aside and pulled the cab door open for her. "Go," he said softly. Her lips trembled. "Thank you." "I don't know how to," but the cabbie was already waving her in. Jonathan watched as the door shut and the cab drove off through the snowy street. He stood there in silence, the weight of his decision pressing on him. Then, with his interview clock ticking down and no more taxis in sight, he sighed and started walking. The snow stung his face, but he walked fast. He didn't make it in time. A week passed. The interviewers had moved on, and Jonathan's prospects faded. He took a night shift job at a warehouse for minimum wage, carrying boxes and loading trucks. Every bone in his body ached, but he kept going, unwilling to give up. Meanwhile, in a hospital suite uptown, the woman from that snowy morning stood at the window holding her now sleeping baby. Her name was Rachel Monroe. Unknown to Jonathan and most people, she was the daughter of a late tech mogul and heiress to a multi-million-dollar estate. But after a scandal in the family and the tragic death of her husband in a car accident 6 months ago, Rachel had chosen to walk away from public life, trying to raise her son in peace and anonymity. She had been on the verge of collapse that morning. Her baby had spiked a dangerous fever, and no one on the street would stop to help her and tell Jonathan. She couldn't stop thinking about him. His face, his kindness. The selflessness in his eyes when he stepped aside for her. She hadn't even asked his name. She tried to find him. She called the cab company, asked people around the station, even checked security cameras nearby. Nothing. Until one late night, sitting alone and watching local community news with her baby in her arms, she saw him. A feature story about warehouse workers during the holiday rush. There he was, stacking boxes in the background. Rachel's heart skipped a beat. The next morning, Jonathan arrived at the warehouse for his shift and was told someone was asking for him. Confused, he walked into the break room and froze. It was her. She looked different now, healthier, calm, and graceful in a warm winter coat. Her eyes still carried the same quiet strength. Her baby, in a stroller beside her, cooed gently. "Hi," she said with a soft smile. "I've been looking for you." Jonathan blinked. "You, how did you?" "I never forgot what you did. That morning, if you hadn't let me take that cab, I don't know what would have happened to my son. He had a severe infection. We got there just in time." Jonathan glanced down, unsure what to say. Rachel stepped closer. "You gave up something important that day. I want to repay you." He shook his head. "No. I didn't do it for that." "I know," she said. "That's what makes it even more important." She offered him a business card with her name. That's when he recognized it, Monroe. The tech empire. His eyes widened. "I've been running my father's old foundation quietly," she said. "We focus on giving second chances to people who deserve them. People like you." "I don't need charity," Jonathan said, his voice low. Rachel smiled gently. "It's not charity. It's an opportunity. There's a program for skilled professionals who lost work during the recession. I could help you get back on your feet, interviews, mentorship, a position. You'd earn every bit of it." Jonathan stared at her, emotion swelling in his chest. He'd been alone for so long. No one had extended a hand in months until now. And it was the woman he helped, now helping him back. Months passed. With Rachel's foundation's help, Jonathan re-entered the engineering field. He secured a job at an innovative design firm, working on renewable energy projects. His confidence returned. He even found himself smiling again. Rachel and her son would visit him sometimes, first just to say hello, then more often. They'd meet for coffee, go for walks in the park. Her baby, now healthy and smiling, began to reach for Jonathan whenever he saw him. Feelings grew slowly, but surely. Rachel, once guarded and grief-stricken, started to laugh again. Jonathan, once defeated, found purpose and hope. Their past pains didn't disappear, but they healed, together. One summer afternoon, as they sat on a bench watching her baby play, Rachel turned to him. "You know," she said quietly, "I never believed in fate before." Jonathan looked at her. "And now? I do. Because the man who gave up his chance for a stranger became the person who gave me hope again." He took her hand, his voice steady. "You gave me the same thing. And I didn't even see it coming." Their hands stayed linked as the sun dipped low behind the city skyline. No grand gestures, no fairy tale castles, just two people, scarred but standing, finding peace and love not in perfection, but in kindness. In the end, the message was simple. Sometimes, the smallest act of compassion, letting someone else take your cab, can change not just one life, but two. And in a world that often rushes past those in need, choosing to pause, to care, to help, can become the beginning of everything. Jonathan gave up something small that day. And gained something far greater in return. Purpose, healing, and love.